Hi, this is Cardoso, and in this video I'm going to share with you a few things about teaching via video conferencing. And we're also going to see a few things about training and development of remote teachers. The context is the Ceibal in Inglés project. It's a large-scale project delivering English lessons to thousands and thousands of children in the public schools in Uruguay. And the teaching is done via high-end video conferencing equipment, such as the one you can see here on the screen. The training of these teachers will include a couple of online courses they have to take before they start teaching, and during the year they will also be observed by a quality manager in a cycle of observation and feedback, which is both evaluative and developmental. Moreover, each provider or institute will also have access or provide a few other activities for the development of their teachers, such as micro-teaching sessions, peer observations, mentoring, and so on and so forth. So it's a very comprehensive scheme for training and development to somehow standardize the courses and to guarantee the quality of the program. I spent a couple of years in the Philippines working with remote teachers, and I interviewed a few of them and asked them about their challenges, about a few practical things they do in their lessons to increase their presence and things like that. So let's take a look at that now. Could you share with us a challenge you had when you started teaching via video conferencing?
Yes, one of the biggest challenges that I encountered when I first started working here was establishing rapport with my students.
Okay.
It was difficult for me because of the distance.
hmm So, what kind of things did you do to develop that?
Well, to overcome that challenge, I had to get the students' strengths and weaknesses. I had to know them for them to trust me. The first meeting that we have, I had to ask the student's name. I had to write it down so I could use that to make a sitting arrangement for me to be able to learn and to know their names and faces.
One of the teaching standards the remote teachers are required to meet is establishing rapport with the classroom teacher and the learners. This is a sensible thing to ask, actually, in any teaching situation, I believe. And the starting point of this would be for the remote teachers to address the learners by name. But in this case, this can be actually become a great challenge to these teachers, considering the number of groups some will teach every week. In this case, then, they need to see in their training a few strategies to achieve this in a short time. So here are a few basic strategies the remote teachers are instructed to follow. Interacting with the students on the online learning platform, because then they will have a profile with a photo and a name. It should be easier to get to know them. Some teachers also like to take a group photo with the class and then get their names and label the photos so they have that in front of them when they are teaching, and that makes it easier to memorize their names. Also very important to coordinate with the classroom teacher as soon as possible in the beginning of the academic year to get all the information needed. We'd like you to share with us a challenge you had when you first started remote teaching.
Oh, okay. The challenge. Well, basically, it's anchored in how you get the students to participate in the varied activities because uh, you're just another moving figure in the screen. It's like in reality, other students don't even participate with an actual teacher in the classroom. So how much more with just another two-dimensional figure, right? So yeah, it's basically making yourself present in Uruguay at the same time while you're teaching here from your TP.
What sort of strategies did you have to develop, or what sort of things did you have to learn to do that better?
Ah, of course, we have to master how to use all these technologies and um, applying those techniques, zooming in, panning, monitoring the students, and as much as possible, calling them by their names, personalizing, and like it's like, oh hey, I'm teaching from the other country, but yes, I know you, I know your names, I know each one of you.
The challenge here, as Johanny describes, is not only knowing who you are teaching, but also making yourself present in that classroom. As you can see on the screen, presence is also a teaching standard these remote teachers need to develop. And this includes also knowing how to make good use of the video conferencing equipment, for example, by using the classroom camera, zoom, and panning functions. What kind of challenges did you have with the technology?
Yeah, I think first was the cam.
Okay.
Yes, how to zoom in and zoom out. At first, I can remember I wanted to zoom in my students, particular students who's very noisy, is doing other stuff, but I zoom in myself. So it was like funny because they're laughing too because I was the full screen was only my face.
Okay.
This big.
Unfortunately, I cannot show you here an example of this from a real remote lesson due to privacy policies, but I've got the teachers to try and explain how it works.
While the students are doing an activity, I monitor them by using Zoom functions to check if they are on task and for them to be aware that I'm watching them.
It is very important to go full screen whenever you give instructions to a certain task. In this way, the students get to see you eye to eye, and you build your presence.
Tell us about teaching vocabulary through the video conferencing equipment. What are the things you need to bear in mind?
Oh, yeah, okay. In teaching vocabulary, it is important to go full screen when modeling vocab to see how I position my mouth and how I place my teeth and tongue.
Right, so there you would be teaching notebook and book, so you show
Yes.
that first, right?
Yeah.
And then after that?
After they recognize the words, I'm gonna go full screen. Okay, so I'm full screen now.
Mhm.
Yes, and then I have to zoom my cam in.
Okay.
Make sure to have my mouth visible this way.
Yeah, and then you do some drilling, and
Yes.
and then you go back to the.
And I'll go back.
Doing this?
Yes.
Okay. Can you show us?
All right. So here's the materials
Okay,
again.
and then you go back to that, and then you move on to the next slide, is it?
All right. Yes.
Okay. Great. And then you do the same.
Same thing.
Okay. I hope this video could offer a glimpse of some issues concerning the training of remote teachers. Things like building rapport and presence might seem fairly basic teaching skills, but they do become a lot more challenging when teaching large classes via video conferencing. So thanks to all involved for sharing their experience in this.